Okay, so this is a first. This is a first. So it's not gonna be polished, and we don't really care. We're just gonna make it all about the content. And really and truly, if this found you, it's probably because it's a message that you're aligned to. It's not necessarily that you stumbled here. There's a reason for you to watch this video. There's a reason for you to listen to this message. There's a reason for you to be exactly where you are right now. And probably it might be a soul contract, or it might be something that you set for yourself before you even came to be in your mom's womb. But hey, what I really want to talk about today, and by the way, let's do some introductions, right? My name is Susan, and I'm a lover of life, an alchemist at heart, and I just love our consciousness, our being, our existence. Everything about us is just magnetically, magnetically, um, something to be in awe of. Just the amount of things that have been created in order to fit exactly how they needed to fit for them to exist exactly how they exist. And for the people that I'm speaking to, this will mean something. Not everyone, just yet, is at the stage where they can understand the full extent of this message, or of these realizations that I just had by just looking at certain relationships and certain types of people that I'm meeting on a daily basis, and seeing and experiencing also their change, not their change, but their development, their difference of the different stage at which they are, which is merely just a representation of their now consciousness moving through different realities, aligning to the vibrations of different realities. And that alignment happens with every choice. Even me now speaking here, making a video about this revelation that I had for myself. It's and I turn around, it's 2:55. It's it's just something that I've aligned to, because as I said, it's the first. I'm usually writing, so there's nothing about my persona. And then I started an Instagram page, putting up my writings, some of my writings, and then for a very tiny bit of time I tried videoing, but it just didn't feel like it was the moment. But because I made that choice, I aligned myself to the possibility of it, to then go back to it. And then I started the podcast in between that, and it was all about the contents with my voice, like directly speaking through, by adding also the vocal, the energy, the passion, the emotion that's behind it, and the whole thought process. Something that obviously in writing, like if we were to write the whole thought process, it would be a book just for that thought process, and we all know. um, so it's great that I've also opened myself to the more that life has to give, and with that also I like to look that way just because there's this beautiful tree that I've been following since I moved here in December, and it's just magnetic, and it reminds me of life every day. It seems still, it seems like nothing is happening, but it's growing. Its branches are moving. I just cannot perceive it from this distance. It's grown exponentially from last year December, and you wouldn't even notice if you hadn't paid attention or stopped to look at it for a long time, only to then go back to it and then, oh, wait, there's something different. It's bigger than I remembered it the last time that I framed that event, that image, that thing, in this case, the tree. Fabulous. And at the same time, it's the physical manifestation of resilience. I saw this tree going from naked to growth, to rebirth, around March, and I would say definitely March towards April, and then blooming at its best during summer in July, August, and then in September as well. It was still beautiful, like so green, such a just revigorating green. I don't even know how to describe it. People have tried to put labels on the different shades of green. I don't have the time to do that. Like, I would rather invest that time into other things than to just label things. But even now, as I'm talking about this tree, I'm labeling the tree because words are just labels of something that we give a meaning to, you know? Now, going back to my point, there's going to be a lot of this. FYI. The ability to observe also this event. It's a reflection of what's happening within me. I'm going through changes. My cells change every 7 years. My skin changes every season, and I literally see myself scaling off. I'll say every season. So we shed the skin, we shed cells, we shed the very thing that makes us within a time frame of 7 years. So the person that you were at 7 years is completely different from the person that you were at 14, which is completely different from the person that you were at 21, and you get the gist of it, right? And it's so grounding in, and that's why I'm so connected to nature, but also that's what nature is there for. It's just to remind yourself of who you truly are. The universe expanding and experiencing itself in multidimensional fields, because it wants to experience so much of the self. So every single person, there's an unlimited amount of infinite amount of realities coexisting at the same times, with events that also overlap. That was a really good way of coming back to my point, which is actually that. That's how you know that it was meant to. That's how you know that it was meant to be. Like, this was actually what needed to happen at this current moment in time. Cool. Let me light up my joint. That little pause was me deciding in like a split second. Do you wanna be fully authentic, or do we wanna hide some things? Just because it's in the internet and we see so many examples of people like beeping themselves or not saying things or saying on a live when they mean that, or kill themselves, or like all those, like all the different labels that we've created. There's no bad thing about saying them. It's the emotion that comes with it. So I understand if someone wants to choose a different type of word because they want to leave a different type of energy within themselves. It just gets to a point where we're gonna create endless amounts of words to say the exact same thing just because someone is yet to develop that, I guess, consciousness to the fact that words are nothing. Everything is nothing. We're the ones that make it something. It's like the double split experiments. The split, the quantum, the quark that they send through two splits, they manifest in a shape of waves, and they manifest on the back wall as just little dots that, with the waves, if you were to then stop it, like after a while you'll start seeing like columns, and in the middle you'll see the thickest column, and that is the reality that we live. That is those two waves congregating with each other created that one thick reality, which is the possibility of an event, right? So that thick slat, I don't know, long rectangle, like you can call it whatever you like. You can look it up, like you'll see the experiment, you'll see the pictures that and what it actually links back to, because it's always good to make your own research. If there's one thing that I've learned, is that there's so much information out there, and because there's so many perspectives to it, make your research, get to your own understanding of it. It'll click within you. Believe me, when you've seen enough information, it'll click within you what feels right and what doesn't. So right now, there's no excuse. There's no, oh yes, there's so much false information out there. Yes, there is. And if you trust yourself, when you choose to trust yourself and your intuition and everything that you are, because everything that you are is in every single particle that you are. So it knows what's best for you. The universe will never want to hurt you. I know that sometimes there's events that make us feel like, why is this happening to me? We've all had those moments. We've all had those moments, right? Now, the best thing about it is that we can also rephrase those moments. We can see as that moment actually made me stronger because I went through that moment. I know that I have certain strengths at my core that allow me to go through that moment. And that is, well, we know, but then, oops, I was pressing on it. We know, but then it also comes down to, imagine if everything was not even recorded because I was pressing on the button. We'll find out at the end. Whatever is saved is what was needed to be said. But just in case the first part of the video wasn't recorded, as I just noticed that I pressed on the microphone button again. First time here. My name is Susan. I'm a lover of life, an alchemist at heart, and I'm here on this planet to just expand with the universe and aid to our expansion. And that goes through self-awareness, that goes through introspection, because I know that bettering myself allows the universe to learn and to fortify its strength of bettering itself, and at the same time it inspires, because then I reflect my own development. So it inspires other people from the outside that are more in line into development, into self-development, self-awareness, and the holistic ways to also spark that light within themselves that we all have that gets dimmed because of the childhood that we have. So I've gone through a process of myself of really dissecting all the things that dim my light. For example, the perspective of the fact that people pleaser was a negative thing, because we've created a negative connotation with people pleaser word, we have a negative attachment to it. So that also means that in our memory we have negative moments. And if a lot of things have happened to you, like happens to everyone, of course to different degrees, but we don't have to compare the events that make us that we decided to have in our own life path in order for us to become the version of ourselves that we were destined to be, and go through all those hurdles only because that's how we master our own life. That's how we master our own consciousness. That's how we master our own individual experience of life. By going through all those hurdles till the day that, okay, we've done it. We're good. We've experienced it all. All that was there to shape us into remembering the original version of ourselves. And then from then on, it's just bliss, because then you know who you are, you know what you're capable of, You know that you're the universe experiencing itself, and as the universe experiencing itself, everything that you see possible in the universe is possible within you. Everything that exists in the universe exists within you as well. And it's such a grounding and beautiful feeling to have about your own life. Like, it genuinely saves you from wanting to kill yourself. It definitely did for me. And when you truly realize the beauty in this experience, it's like a weight off your shoulders, and it just feels light. It just feels like what it was meant to be, light. There's no surprise that light, in terms of lightness, like, it's the same thing. In terms of weight, it's the same word that we use for light in terms of illumination or energy. Because at the most core, fundamental particle, elements, everything is just energy. A little tiny spark that's packed with infinite possibilities. And that links back to what I was saying in the other part. But I like the thread of life. I like to just follow what the universe puts in front of me, and dissect it, understand it, see the lesson, see the development opportunity, see the expansion opportunity, and just go with the life's flow, because everything that happens for a reason. Everything that's in my path is there for a reason. So let me just take it on. I can do it. Everyone can, because I'm the universe experiencing itself. It just happens that my experience of life, my tiny experience of life, it's part of this big ass universe. And I decided to, let me see how it would feel like to be Susan Dinga, born and raised in Italy, from two parents of like 40 plus years old, and black, from Africa, Sierra Leone and Congo. Oh my god, I mean, there's so many things that have happened to this day and will happen in my life. But basically that was the narrative. So there was a narrative in the shape of my own existence that was like laying down all the pieces, all the onset pieces, all the defining moments, and then just shot myself in all of those defining moments. And that's where I go back to these three spirals finding each other into this one nucleus, because this is life path 1, life path, you can see where I stopped. Echoic spirals, like, no, I should record this. Life path 2 and life path 3, right? 3 cycles. Now let's just take one life path. In this one life path, the details that I just gave about some parts of my life were the onset, were the thing that made this life path an existence, an experience of what it could do, what it could be, what it could feel, what could be possible, right? The universe is all about possibilities. It's all about what is possible. What is possible, and anything is possible. So there's the question and the answer that exist at the exact same time. It's like the observer and the observed, they coexist at the same time. It's like the light and the darkness. It's like the yin and the yang. Is like the duality. You get what I mean, right? In order for one to exist, both exist at the same time. So God is not good, it's not bad. It's good and bad. It's not female, it's not male. It's female. V-male, yes. So to this one life path, right? Let's say that the circles were the defining moments, right? And then the moment it, like almost like the part that goes down, the links to, so let's say that these dots were the defining moments, right? And these dots are the moments of transitioning. Now, if we have one defining moment here that we must, oh, you can't see that part, is it? So let me start from here. It's the same thing. So let's say that on one side, there you go, that helps. Sorry for that. So let's say that we got, let me start from the bottom, the side circle. So we have these parts that are the defining moments that we must go through, and these parts are the transitioning moments, the link between a defining moment and the next one, right? So if we don't graduate this first, we'll be going in like our circles, instead of just being this tiny bit of spiral, right? This tiny bit of spiral that's like almost feels like, when you take it to its smallest, feels like a thin line. A thin line, and that's where we have things like lines. There's no such thing as a line, it's just a spiral that gets taken to its smallest, tiniest scale, which creates, but looked from further away, a line, right? Now, we don't need that, so let me just take it off. Now, if we were to look at those spirals from upwards, right, they all appear as a circle if it doesn't get broken. Right. Though, if it all goes smooth and we all follow our intuition and we follow our instincts, our natural instincts, and we follow exactly what we must be for life to experience itself, then it should look like a circle, because that's the perfect size, that's the perfect geometry in the world, right? In the universe. Some say that is the triangle, yes, because it follows like the Trinity and all that, but when you take all of that, where do you put triangle if not inside of a circle? And it fits all of them. You put any shape on a circle and it will fit the shapes, it will fit the its corners, right? Now, so if everything goes smoothly, it looks like a circle. Now, if we don't get out of our ways in order to actually actualize what we were here to do, our first circle starts looking as a spiral of itself. And that's where we feel like we're always going back to the exact same thing, because this is our now one defining moment that was supposed to be graduated. Now, because it doesn't get graduated, the circle of the upward cycle of itself makes itself larger, and it just keeps spiraling until we get the lesson, and then we get to the second defining moment. And then if everything goes smoothly, we go to the third one, defining moment. If everything goes smoothly, well, if then we get stuck there, this gets larger again, and it becomes larger and larger the more of the experience of life we experience, and that's what makes us older. It's when we don't graduate thoroughly, when we don't graduate flow smoothly, no, like water flowly. You understand it, right? This is the process of aging. Jesus Christ, I didn't know that it was gonna go there. And this is youth. Youth, it's stable and it goes. Aging, that is just aging. Let's say if we were to do that all the time, like that is what ages us. When we get stuck in this spiral and we don't want to graduate because it's painful to admit certain things to ourselves, so we just age instead. That's why now we have more old people than we have wise people, you know? Unfortunately, we must say it. Unfortunately, that's what we have. Well, we've had, because now we're coming, and there's so many of us, chosen ones. You're the chosen one. If you made it to this point, you're definitely a chosen one. You're definitely someone that's here in this world to unravel and understand everything about this universe, so that you can make sure that you reproduce the universe itself. You reproduce more experiences of life. You create, you expand. It's all about creation. Being youthful creates wisdom, because when you're enjoying everything through the eyes of a kid, you keep yourself immortal. You keep yourself physically you could freeze yourself physically, or even like anti-age, like literally go backwards just by following the flow of life. That's how people glow. You see, when you see that person and they were going through a tough time, maybe it was like alcohol or drugs or involved, or whatever the case might be. It could be divorce, it could be anything that might have beat them down. That was a manifestation of a lesson or learning that they weren't necessarily allowing themselves to go through, which created this resistance, which created this. It could be a blood clot. It could be a blood clot. I don't know how you say that. It could be yeah, I think it's right. It could be a cancer. It could be a cough. Like, it could be anything. When we don't allow the flow of things, it just gets stuck wherever point of energy it finds itself on. It just gets stuck, right? So I actually had an example. I had a month ago a throat infection because I was withdrawing parts of myself that I understood to be true to myself, and I wasn't speaking up. And then it manifested itself as a throat infection. So I had my glands here that were swollen, drinking water was hard, was painful. So I was physically manifesting the pain of not graduating that defining moment. Let me close this before it goes off, right? Now imagine the moment I sat down with myself. I started also consequently to that, also taking care of the body, because now I'm not just needing to take care of the mind, I also need to take care of the body. And that's because, I expanded myself. That's why the world, it's a mental game. It's a mental game for the spiritual, for the spirit, which creates the physicality. Oh my God, yes. Life on this earth, life in the 3D world, in the ways in which we're experiencing it, it's literally a mental game for the spirit, which manifests the physical realm in which we're in which we're diving in which we're walking, running in, whatever movement, speed you have or allow yourself to have. Because I wasn't graduating upwards, I was graduating laterally. So laterally, that's what it gives me another circle to work on. Now I was supposed to only speak up, and that would have graduated me. But instead of doing that, I withheld, and that created the physical pain. Oh my God, if I had continued to withhold, I don't know what could have come out of that. And I'm glad that I didn't experience it, because probably some other situation in the physical realm might have manifested as a situation in which I don't necessarily feel comfortable speaking up. And that's where we literally create little boxes for ourselves, for our existence. We keep on limiting ourselves because we're teaching the world that we don't want to graduate upwards, we don't want to graduate this one. We actually like it here, so I'm going to just continue creating realities of that type of alignment. Oh my god, I'm literally downloading this from the universe, and as I'm speaking, I just so did not know that I was gonna go there, but I'm loving it. Whereas the natural way is to just move on. Which, yes, it can be hard sometimes, but guess what? You make it harder if you don't. You're just giving yourself even more battling at that one thing, at that one development, defining moment that you must overcome, that you must understand, that you must be aware and accept within you, only for you to be able to graduate and make it easy on yourself. And then when that happens, based on every single choice that you make, you also direct in which direction you're going. And guess what? The universe doesn't just have that one thing. There's so many consciousness versions of you, which are also other people, but also other versions of what Susan Dinga could be. In this case, myself. I'm using myself as an example. There's God knows how many Susan Dingas in this world, right? And then, now I'm living on this line. Let's say that I'm living on this one. It does look different from that. I did spend a bit more time on some. Hey, I forgive myself. I got here, so that's what matters. So let's say, okay, when we enlarge our orbit, right? When we age our orbit, we also start touching on other versions of ourselves that weren't meant to be in our path, right? They were meant to be things that we saw within others, but now we've brought it in our orbit. And because we've brought it in our orbit, now this means that we're going to encompass and find those things within ourselves as well. Because what we see outside when we're going in our own path, we just see it outside. We see possibilities of things that are within us that we could also easily orbit at and frequent at, but we don't, because we're following our own. That's when, again, we follow our intuition. Like, we feel like saying something and we say without fear. Okay, we can definitely add compassion to it. And that's why we must practice authenticity with compassion, with understanding that it's all about an orbit. It's all about the orbit of which you move in through space. It's all about the orbits that your emotions are hitting. It's all about the lifestyle that yourself are vibrating at. It's all about, I'm using different examples of the exact same thing, different labels, different frames. It's all about the vibration, which is like, let's say that everything here was just a vibration. It's all about the vibration of which you get what I mean, right? So when we have that, the compassion comes from the fact that it's all about possibilities. We were meant to go here, but we find ourselves here. So, hey, or we're going here, but we could find ourselves here as well. Right? So there's the fact that we either find ourselves there or we could find ourselves there. So we gotta give compassion to it, because if it happens that we get stuck, let's say that we get distracted in the fact that it could happen to us as well, well, the universe is gonna make it happen to us. It's gonna bring it in our camp because we're not necessarily looking at it from. And that was my alarm to be grateful. So I'm gonna say I'm grateful to myself for literally just flowing today and just following wherever I felt like going, because this is huge. This is beautiful. This is the beginning of something, and it's gonna link to so many other things that are just gonna exponentially bring even more abundance out of this life, and even more expansion and more propulsion to go through my own individual path. So thank you universe, for trusting me in that. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for directing me. Thank you for having me experience all the experiences and all the orbits that I needed to experience, because you allowed me to graduate those steps, those moments, those defining moments of my life. And thank you for also having the ability to see when it's, even if it's not part of me, it's something that could easily be me. So thank you for that. And back to my point, I was saying, when we go through our own path, we can either be the observer or the observed, right? Depending on which we put ourselves, like which position we put ourselves on, that is going to determine the experience that we have. So let's say that you're on your own path, but you don't acknowledge that that is something that could happen to you. That means if it could happen to you, that means that it's not happening to you, right? Which means that you're giving compassion, you're giving love to it, and by giving love, love fills the space in between the two. If there's lack of love, guess what? These two, they attract each other, because now there's no love.
Yes, and that's the moment when we realize that the rest of the audio had just gone away. Like me trying to change the illumination, radiate the illumination. Yeah, you get the idea. The brightness. There you go. I took out the voice from the microphone, and it probably started recording from the phone, but it was so far away that you genuinely could not hear anything. So, and since that video was a couple of days before, a couple of days ago, I completely forgot what the rest of the video was about. I know the whole concept. The main point was that we must give love in order to also respect the distance of experience. If not, we will experience whatever experience we're trying to judge. And that's because judgment does not breed love, does not breed separation. Judgment actually gets you to experience the very thing that you're judging or that you don't want to experience. And that's because it's all based on what we lean in. Judgment is a detractor, is electrifying. Love is magnetic. Sorry, the other way around. Love is electrifying, so it pulses out, right? So it creates that distance. Like if I'm pulsing from the inside out, that means that things are moving like that, right? But when we're becoming the magnetic field, that when we're becoming the magnetic energy of the polarity, that's when we're the ones attracting the very thing that we don't want. Now that process itself can also very much work for manifestation, because yes, definitely did for me. When you put out your intention, it'll come back tenfold. When you put out goodness and love, it'll come back tenfold, because that's what you've put out. But when you put out judgment or fear more than anything, because judgment is really just another face of fear. At the end of the day, everything positive is love and everything negative is fear. Fear in terms of reputation, or fear of not being better, or fear of being, how do you say it, mistaken for the same thing that we're seeing, um, and for it to be taken as our wholeness. Let's say when I was a child and I was speaking about it with a couple of days with someone, yesterday actually, my friend, that growing up I was raised in a very, I was the only black in my circumstances, childhood circumstances. Until then, a friend who then we grew up together um, came and became my neighbor. Like we were just meant for each other. Um, I used to be also bullied for my blackness. Until then it stopped, because I wasn't necessarily allowing them to see that it could affect me. So I would start laughing with them So I put out a level of love because I'm laughing. Is like it cannot necessarily make me feel bad in the way that you're expecting to. Um, it completely just took away the power that the bullying had over me. So in that person, I didn't even realize, because obviously I was a child, that I had also internalized a bit of racism. So because of certain areas in the area in which I grew up in, we were living in an area that was small town, nothing literally happens. But then there was an area, specifically like Bergamo, where there was a lot of blacks, and there was a specific area in Bergamo where you can go and it's like a retreat. And they were all like streetwear type of hook, like central seats of the guys, you know. So I would put those together and attach them with like hood and black. So I would almost polish myself innately without really realizing, just to not appear, or just to not be mistaken as, or to not be one of them, kind of thing, which is crazy because we're all the same at the end of the day. But because of the separations, and because of the denigration, and because of the judgment, because of the circumstances that we create, and the labeling, and our need to almost like frame almost everything, we created so separation, so much division, that doesn't matter whether you're the observer, you get affected. At a point, you get affected. It's on us to also do the work to breathe it out of our system, and that only comes through acceptance. First, acknowledge. You have to acknowledge something before you can even accept it, because there's no space for acknowledgement. Sorry, there's no space for acceptance without knowing what you need to accept, right? So you have to do the work to look inward, understand what it is exactly that you need to accept that's making you get triggered by something. And it could be anything, and it could be everything, yeah? So take that time to yourself. It is good to be alone, because when you're alone, that's when your demons start speaking. When they start speaking, just listen to them, just ask them, where do you come from? Literally interview them. Where do you come from? Why are you here? Why are you still here? What is it that you get? What is it that feeds you? What conjured you? Who conjured you? How can we give specifically like Bergamo, where there was a lot of blacks, and there was a specific area in Bergamo where you can go and it's like a retreat. And they were all like streetwear type of hook, like central seats of the guys, you know. So I would put those together and attach them with like hood and black. So I would almost polish myself innately without really realizing, just to not appear, or just to not be mistaken as, or to not be one of them, kind of thing, which is crazy because we're all the same at the end of the day. But because of the separations, and because of the denigration, and because of the judgment, because of the circumstances that we create, and the labeling, and our need to almost like frame almost everything, we created so separation, so much division, that doesn't matter whether you're the observer, you get affected. At a point, you get affected. It's on us to also do the work to breathe it out of our system, and that only comes through acceptance. First, acknowledge. You have to acknowledge something before you can even accept it, because there's no space for acknowledgement. Sorry, there's no space for acceptance without knowing what you need to accept, right? So you have to do the work to look inward, understand what it is exactly that you need to accept that's making you get triggered by something, and it could be anything, and it could be everything. Yeah. So take that time to yourself. It is good to be alone because when you're alone, that's when your demons start speaking. When they start speaking, just listen to them. Just ask them, where do you come from? Literally interview them. Where do you come from? Why are you here? Why are you still here? What is it that you get? What is it that feeds you? What conjured you? Who conjured you? How can we give you love? How can we accept you? How can we make you our strength? Have conversations with your demons. They also are deprived of love. So if you're the one that gives it the love, you're putting the distance between you and your demons. They're not part of you anymore. They're part of your team. And that is the thing, that is one of the best gifts that you can give you and do for yourself, because when your demons become part of your team, you become whole. You feel whole. You speak wholeness. You attract wholeness. You see wholeness. You literally see in others. Your third eye literally just goes wide open. You know what wholeness looks like and what wholeness feels like. So, if self-love is the path that you want to go down, just do it. Take the time. If healing is the path that you want to go down, just sit with it. Take your time. But take the time off for it, or create the time for it. There's no take your time in the sense of just allow time to just go by and things will get solved. No. Think, like, dissect it in every time frame, in every time that you can. You're showering, dissect. You're sitting on the toilet, dissect. You're walking down the stairs, dissect. You're listening to music, dissect. Like, any time that you can really truly understand yourself and find an opportunity to give yourself that love and acceptance and understanding, bring yourself back to source. Take that time, you need it, and it's gonna come back in tenfold. Alright, I'm gonna just like at the back, that was me, just swish with this mouth and open this one. And then you can open this one so that you can take it out and actually respect your acceptance. Have others also accept your demons. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to stay, but they know that you know and that you've accepted them and that you've made them into something. They want to know, what did you make them into, because that's what allows them to understand where you're going to go and lead to from now on. They're not going to be playing as your demons anymore. They're going to be playing as your what? That is what people care about. They need to hear that you've done the work, not just of identification, but also rectification, so that they can feel safe with you. And if you don't have that, that's when you're losing on your true power and potential. But we don't want that. Especially in the world in which we're living in now. We genuinely do not want that. So take care of yourself. Alright. As always, SHS. Self-hate to succeed. Humans first. Oh my god, the blessings that are coming. You're gonna hear about it very, very soon. The properties are gonna be, they're gonna be bought. The materials are gonna come. The events are gonna get booked. The success is just, it's just catapulting itself into our reality. And I'm so proud of myself and the work and the universe and in all of us and everything that we're able and capable to do. And with it, I'm so excited for the future that's coming for us, because I see it, I say it here, and I said it here first. I said it here first. We're taking over. Oof. We're taking over. And the fact that we're in Aquarius, there's no better time. The universe is literally backing us towards our enlightenment. Let's find out what it feels like to live through love instead of fear. Let's find out. It's an experience that we owe ourselves, don't we? All. Peace out, honey.